Another episode of the girls' room. Yeah. It's Friday, so I am so happy that I do not have to work tomorrow. Friday is like a weekend in itself. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my hair, but I just briefly and swiftly blow dried it, just to kind of get the kinks out a little bit. I'm gonna straighten it just a tiny bit, just to like keep it a little contained, but I'm gonna keep it pretty low key this weekend. And to the topic of today, which is, do we need men? That is the topic. Do we need men? Do men need us? Do we like men? What is a man? Okay, I'm not gonna go into all of those things, but I'm gonna just open my pressed juice, start drinking this vanilla almond, and then we're gonna get into it. Man, there's nothing like a Friday. There's nothing like a Friday working remote because nobody really works. And if you do, that's fine. Like, I actually like to be busy. Like, I already, what is it? It's about to be 11 a.m. I went to Target. I got my pressed juice. I'm cleaning up the kitchen, like going through the refrigerator, doing a scrub down, cleaning off everything. And last night I knew I need to clean. I need to declutter. And it's a pretty small apartment, so there's gonna be stuff around, but just like dust, sweep, mop, fake mop with a little like Swiffer type, and declutter my mind because I have so many things running through my mind all of the time. It's like my brain is running so fast that I can't catch up with execution, and so I just end up writing because I'm a pen and pad girl. I like write the same things over and over because I know that I want to do this, like podcast or video, but then I want to do property and I want to do interior design and I want to do music, and so I can never really just stand still in one place and execute from beginning to end because I pick up little things here and there, and then I just have a lot of these ideas and projects that don't really come to fruition because I don't allow them to. So, it's little by little. This will be the first of the batch of creatives and just things that I want to do. And I like it because I end up running to the girls' room to chit chat with myself and just kind of word vomit on the mirror and figure out who I am. And I can look back at this and say, okay, well, I was definitely, back and forth on some thoughts, but it's good to just talk it out because it's okay to talk to yourself if you have a camera. It's not really by yourself to yourself in that moment. And who really needs therapy? Like, I don't need a therapist. I would actually kind of like one, but I haven't found one. I haven't looked super hard. But you have to unpack all the things. You have to trust them. They have to trust you. They have to know you. Lottie, dottie, da. Back to boys. So, to the question, to boys. To men. We're 32. To men. Do we need men? One of my friends sent me this IG post of this guy walking around with mini mics. I don't know exactly where he was, if he was at like a festival or something or a market. And I've been seeing a lot of people with like mini mic situations. It's just kind of the thing you do. It's super low lift. People don't mind being on camera. They don't know where it's gonna go. They don't care if you ask them questions, especially when they're out and about and probably drinking or just having a good time, whatever. And this guy was walking around asking women, do you need men? Which I feel like, I don't know why this thing is here. Like, why would that be there? I feel like that's kind of a leading question coming from a man to women anyways. It feels a little like provocative more so than if a woman was asking. It just might present itself as hostile for whatever reason, because I could just imagine some man talking or coming up to me. Actually, I remember something like that happened in college very, very vaguely. I think some guy came up to me randomly. I was like on some stairs, and he was like, "How do you feel about black guys that don't want to date black girls?" And I was like, "I don't care. Like, get out of my face. Like, what kind of question is that? Like, you're really trying to provoke an argument, and I just don't play those games. I'm not walking into your, prank, your trap. I don't know you. It's not a thing." So I can see how in the video that maybe this guy asking, "Oh, do women need men?" Maybe he didn't get honest answers all the time because the women just see this man coming up a little hostile or just with such a loaded and leading question that immediately they're already turned off, and it's like, I'm gonna say no to everything you say, and I'm gonna say it with an attitude, because why are you talking to me? You're a stranger. But I do think that there is some merit in the question. I think that it's good to ask, it's good to know where the current state of dating is right now, because I certainly see an uptick in women and men alike not feeling like the other is necessary. So now everyone's heart's super hardened, and we're just like, I don't need anybody but myself. And so a lot of the women, well, maybe it was 50-50. I would say maybe 70-30. 70 in favor or opposed to women needing men. Some like, oh, if you want to reproduce, then fine, sure. And unfortunately, it's just not shocking, because that's what the climate is right now. That's how I see people behaving in a way that's like ultra independent in, I think, kind of a dangerous way, because we do need men and we should like men and value men. And so I always want to at least take a moment if I'm interviewing someone or just like asking a man a question, or whether it's on interview or not, like, I appreciate you. I acknowledge that we all have our faults, and maybe I don't know you super personally and I don't know what you've done to women or what you will do, but we're all growing, and I don't think that this dating phase is intentional. Like, I don't know that we are intentionally being childish and malicious. I think that everybody just has different ways of processing, of acting, speaking, whatever, and everybody's viewpoints on needs and wants are changing. Like, traditionalism is kind of out the door right now. So when women are being asked, do we need men? It's like, okay, well, all of the men in my life have either cheated or just been disrespectful. Then of course you're gonna say, no, we don't need men, because you haven't interacted and experienced what a man should be and what a man is, not a man child. And so I think that it's really important for men to step up and show us what real men are, because they're not gonna let women speak to it, and I don't think it's our place to speak to it either. But there's just a whole bunch of children running around masquerading as men, and they're really not. So yeah, no, I don't need, and they don't need, we don't need collectively what we've been seeing out publicly. But I do believe that a lot of what you see on media and on TV and in music, it's fake. It's they're intentionally to divide us and to misrepresent the masses. Like most of the people I know are mostly good people, like with good hearts, good intentions, and we've just been a product of and a victim of where the culture is going right now, where it's very like anti-man. It's like very anti-man to the point where I'm at work and I have coworkers talking about, oh, he's just a white, like loudly, oh, he's just a white man, cursing. And I'm like, is anybody hearing this? Like attacking people just because they're a man or because they're white or whatever. And it's so open and it's so accepted that you can just bash people. Like you can just bash men, you can just bash women. And because I'm a woman, I think maybe I hear bashing of men more often. But I think that just in even like the media right now, like it's just okay to bash men. Like men are always at this point on the chopping block just because they're a man. And I don't think that's fair. But I do think that it's up to men to change that narrative and, just continue to be the best versions of themselves, regardless of how it's taken so far. Because there are some loonies out there. There are some crazy people that are just gonna have hatred towards you no matter what. But we just have to, persist and make sure that we're not changing our behavior just because people aren't receiving it well. And hopefully soon they'll see that, hey, the needs that you have could possibly be satisfied by man beyond just reproduction, beyond just having a child. Because if you don't value the man, why have the child? I think that having a strong male figure is so important because you can see how that affects people. You can see how that affects children. You can see how it affects siblings, where you'll see like these posts and these like pranks or whatever on like social media where the kids will tell the mom to shut up in the earshot of the dad, and the dad hears, and immediately it shifts the energy. And when you watch TV, it's like when there's a strong male presence that the boys and the girls respect, people fall in line. And it doesn't have to be violence. It's not like, oh, my dad hits me, so that's why I'm quiet. It's like, no, there's a respect there. And I think that that's so valuable. And for me, that's how I characterize or partially characterize a man. Like a real man demands respect without yelling and screaming for it. He walks into a room and has this presence about him that can still be quiet, but is strong, and he gives respect, so people give it back. He's not afraid to stand up, like he's willing and able to fight, physically if need be, but also just fight for what's right. And there are a lot of conversations that he may need to decide whether to step in, if it's worth stepping in or not. And it's about strong leadership. So I think it's probably important for all of us to identify what a man is. Maybe that would be a good start. To me, there are so many things that make a man. I mean, first and foremost, it's the anatomy. It's definitely biology first, and then learning, growing, maturing, and being taught by men how to provide, how to protect, how to communicate effectively. And if we don't have strong men in society, what do we have? I mean, I guess if nobody's strong, then it doesn't matter, but there are still gonna be people that need protecting. And without these strong men, it's gonna be really hard to have protection for family, for rights, for everything. And so I personally want to also fight for strong men because I know I feel like there's an attack on strong, masculine men that are not bullies. Like, just because you're, physically strong doesn't mean that you, to me at least, qualify as that, um, strong, godly man. Like, how do you use your strength and what does that mean? Are you just going around bullying people? Because that's crazy. Like, no, that's not what men do. And I'd love to have a man here on my podcast or on my series in the girls' room. Maybe I'll ask a friend that sent me that video to come on the podcast and tell me what he thinks a man is. And just for himself, because everybody has their own definitions and ideas, but I think it would be impactful to hear from a man, so it's not just me talking and putting on my man voice. But I think that real men, strong men that value women, that actually know that they also need women, they are hunters, they are providers, and they wouldn't even want to compromise on that. And I've met men like that where they've told me they don't even want to do speed dating because it takes the hunt away. It takes the pleasure of like finding, and I think in a authentic and non-creepy way, that I see as them activating their instincts. Like, I know a lot of guys are leaning into this, oh, well, you guys are so independent, right? Okay, well, do for yourself. Open it yourself. Do all the things yourself. You call me. You ask me out. And I'm like, huh? What kind of man is that? I'm not gonna not call you a man. I'm just gonna look at you and walk away. I'm like, that's not the type of man I want. And obviously I can't say that you're not performing as a man should, but where is the man in you? If you want, do you really want a woman to ask you to be, their boyfriend? Do you want that? Are you sure? Is that somebody you want to marry, or are you going to marry somebody that you have to work for a little bit, that you weren't sure about, that you had to kind of pursue, that wasn't easy? And maybe I'm living in a fantasy world, and my definition of man is Prince. But I'm kind of learning and identifying all of these things based off of my personal experience. Like, I would consider my dad to be an alpha male. There are definitely things I wish that he did and would do, just with empathy and like communication. I think that kind of lacked in a lot of ways, but he was a provider through and through. He still is. He's a go-getter, and he, maybe to his faults, or maybe it's a good thing, he's not, like, he does not believe in defeat at all. He's not going to, at least in front of his children, or at least in front of me, show real signs of weakness, ever. I've never seen this man cry. Fine. Maybe he's had a little water eye. Maybe. But he's gonna get it done. He's gonna make sure that his family is set. So I think a lot of my expectations come from seeing what a provider looks like. And so my brain is like, that's right, you need to plan. Like, men, traditional men that I think all women want, that might not exist in the same quantity as they did before because it's a different time. But we want planners. We want to know that if you lose your job today, we're good. Like, either you have a backup plan, or we're just not out of money because we've been living frivolously. Because I'm going to allow myself to be frivolous if you tell me it's okay. Like, I think women need leadership. We all do. We all do. And I know for myself, like I'm getting to a point now because I'm living for myself, with myself, by myself, minus my roommate. But I have to set plans and goals and boundaries that I never really thought about doing. I never thought I really had to. And I've also never had to because I've had the safety net of my parents, knowing that they have everything covered. Like I'm always figuring it out, trying to be the best version of myself, trying to figure out why I do things, and not just why, but how to shift it. Like if I know that I'm not a good planner, I have to acknowledge that. But then how do I start planning? Like I've been listening to a podcast that's helping me stay motivated in my plans that I've just developed as a 32-year-old, which is fine though because I'm still very much young, very, very young and youthful. No matter how many people tell me otherwise, I don't care. It's just, yeah, I'm so thankful that I feel so good because I know that, like, I have friends in their 20s, late 20s, or mid 20s who are like, oh my god, I'm 27, I'm getting old. And I'm like, you sound stupid. And I probably sound stupid to 40-year-olds. Like, the fact that you're even talking about age is ridiculous. Um, but everybody has this thing about getting into their 30s. And I'm like, I don't know. I think you need to relax. But it's just everything's better. Like, my mind, I feel like, is better. It's like making me happy knowing how good I feel. Like, I just feel like inspired and awake to what God's gonna do in my life. I just have to take action. I just have to make the step. And I really, really hope that I keep him in the center and I keep him at my core in every conversation and every single thing that I do. Because without him, I know that none of this, nothing. I'm like, I always get a little choked up, but I've just been so, so blessed and I have so much favor in my life and I want to figure out how to really channel that. Like I know there's so much for me to do that I haven't done yet. And it's gonna take time, but it also just takes action. Like, okay, you wanna do this, do it. Like, let's go. What's the holdup? You can't wait on your life to start, which I feel like I had been doing because I always saw my life or life being had with a partner. Like my parents got married so young and my mom's parents have been married forever. All my uncles and aunts have been married. So I'm just like, oh okay, well once I get married, we'll, start a family, we'll figure all that out. And I'm over here 32, like, okay, I should not wait to figure stuff out for marriage. Like, it'd be nice to come into marriage with an idea so I'm not just aimlessly following suit. Because again, I can be very distracted by boys. So I need to know with all certainty of the plan that I want, for the most part at least, so that I'm not easily distracted into the eyes of a gorgeous man. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds right. Okay, yeah, I don't have to do that anymore. Fine. Like, I want to establish myself and what I want to do in the direction that I want to go in before I get really serious with someone. Because, I think I trust myself, but I'm also kind of a sucker for a pretty boy. I am. That's why I have so many crushes and I'm like constantly in love. I'm like, okay, no, this guy for sure. Also, quick update on Jimbei. I might be super paranoid, but I wonder if he saw this podcast and saw that I was semi-stocky and decided he never wanted to go to the gym again. Because I have not seen him since, like, at all. Like, anywhere. I haven't seen his car, I haven't seen anything. So he's probably ex-cop. He's like, okay, I could figure out how to find this somehow. And now it's time for me to go. I've been spotted. Yeah, totally fine. Okay, that's enough heat, I think. Ooh, I didn't even put a spray on it. But yeah, I think that the interviewer in that video that my friend sent me came off hostile because the dating scene right now is hostile. Men are childish, women are childish. So when you ask such a provocative question like, do we need men? And it's just like so matter of fact, just a yes or no. It's hard. You need to explain some things. It's like, wait a second. Yes, but, yes, and, it's not that simple. Well, it is. It actually is simple. Yes, we need men. But you're outside, you're turning up, somebody just puts a mic in your face. Like, it might not be the actual feelings, even though a lot of them did feel a little sincere, like, we don't need them, they blah, 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 or we just need them to carry things. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, obviously, when I have men around me, I have them carrying my things. Because they should. Like, why am I gonna break my back when you are significantly stronger than me? It doesn't make any sense. Now, I'm not gonna actively search for a man to carry my stuff, but if you're around me, and most of the time they'll get it anyways. Like most men, and these are the type of men that I like put on my list of like, yeah, that was a good deed. That is a manly thing to do. Is when you see a lady in distress, you help. When you see a lady pick something up that's a little heavy, you help. Like, I'm a small woman, so me carrying things, like, I do it all the time. I obviously live for myself, so I go to the grocery store, I do all the things, so I can carry. But there are moments where I'm like, man, this is gonna be hard. I might actually have to take 2 trips. And most of the time when I am around capable men, they step up. They're like, let me help you with that. And I'm so grateful. I'm like, oh my God, thank you. I'm never gonna say no, unless it's just like some weird challenge I have of something that is just small anyways. Like, people ask me, oh, do you need help with your lunch? And I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, I'm just balancing this really weirdly, but it has no weight to it, and I don't really need help because now I've put it in my brain that I'm a waitress and I need to balance things. So I don't need help there. But, well, I think if we identified what makes a man and say, what are the characteristics that we look for in real strong men? And I think men have to come up with that. Like, there needs to be a council of strong men that have a successful household, that have stability, have a family, have, work and certain values, and, sprinkle in other men too, because obviously you need diversity in thought. Have them come up with, like, what is a man? Like, what are the traits that you should embody and have when you are leaning into your manhood? What are certain things that you need to strengthen, and you need to look for? And then we can start a conversation. But since it's just me here in this bathroom, I would say that once we are honest about the benefits of men and women, I think that we will all just get along because we need each other. It's not just about reproduction, because what good is a new generation without strong leadership and reasons and morals and values? But yeah, so my answer to the question of, do women need men? Absolutely, 1000% we do. There's something so special about a man with a purpose and with a plan. And I think that there are a lot of men out there like that. I think that they've probably been jaded and feel hurt and attacked by women, by men, by society, by everything. But I want to hopefully encourage men to just keep fighting, do everything that you can to be as strong as possible and still love us. And I know we can be a little crazy sometimes, but I love you. We love you in our hearts. Like, you just have to break down the walls. You're needed and you're wanted. And that really is dating in real life. We're finding strong men this season. And maybe one of these men will come into my little girl's room and tell me their thoughts. But until then, it's just going to be me with unsolicited opinions that I ask myself to myself in the girl's room. Ta-ta!